everyone, and welcome to the Takarazuka Review Fan Podcast, where fans from around the world get together to talk about Takarazuka. Today we have a fun, smaller theater show to talk about, but before we get to that, let's introduce who's on the show today. It's going to be me, Jen, in New York.
Heidi in Philadelphia.
And Lella in Tokyo.
Yay! We're literally around the world today. That's always a fun thing. So let's talk about some happy things. And I actually have something I'm still super excited, almost adrenaline shaky excited. It was just really fun. Sakiko got Amao Yu, who was a top star of Snow Troop, to do a live stream on Instagram this morning, which would have actually been, it was 11 p.m. Japan time, which it's awesome for her to have done that. But it was really, really fun. And so, gosh, I don't even know. I really, really liked Amao Yu. She grew up in Star Troop, which, and so she was big in Star Troop in the 90s, which was a troop that I really liked, especially when Asaji Saki was top star. So I saw a lot of her stuff when she was Sanbante, Nibante. And then she was in the new Senka, and then she went into Snow Troop, and then she retired in 2002, I think, or 3. Maybe it was... No, it was 2. It was 2002. So, yeah, but she was so cute. She got on, and she was like, yeah, usually I'm up this late, but I'm on, old lady time right now, because everybody's, staying at home, so they're all getting up at, 4 in the morning and going to bed, right after dinner, which I started laughing, because that really is, a thing that older people do in Japan. So
oh my gosh.
But she was so sweet, and she was answering questions, and I can't remember what question it was that spurred this. I think it was somebody asking her, what was the most difficult thing when you were in Takarazuka? And
that's a good question.
Yeah, but her answer broke my heart, and I really wanted to share this here because I feel like foreign fans are almost unrelentingly positive in their interactions with Takarazuka stars, which I think is awesome. But I just wanted to share this because she said she'd get letters from fans, and some fans tended to be more negative, criticisms. And she said, you would get to recognize that handwriting.
Oh.
And so she said, of course I would take all the letters, because you're not going to be rude and not take the letters. And she said, and of course you want to read them all. So she would read them all, but she said, she would see the handwriting and she'd just get this dread, and I'm just like, oh, how awful. So just guys, please be positive when you're writing to your stars, and be careful, even constructive criticism, if you're exhausted and you've had a hard day, you don't need it from fans. I'm sure they're getting it from their directors and the staff. So yeah, it kind of broke my heart, but
sad.
Yeah,
I think about that sometimes. I think it was, I feel like it was a story of that you said once, when I first started following Takarazuka about how some fans would write their actress and be like, you need to shine your boots or something like that. Yeah. And that always stuck with me. I'm like, that's kind of audacious of you.
Yeah.
Right? Someone who's
and I get sometimes it's you're watching this person grow up, so they're kind of you want to give them advice, but it's think it through before you write it.
Right.
Don't make their days miserable. Don't make them dread reading fan letters. Can you imagine? What a horrible thing.
Gosh, terrible.
But the other story that stuck with me that I thought was so cool. So she got put into Snow Troop, and she found out that Kono Mahiro would be her partner, who was a really popular musumeyaku who done a lot of Shinjinko and leads and things. And I had asked her a question of she did this play called Junjo when she was a Nibante, and then 7 years later it was her Ohirome Koen. It was the show that she did, the first show as a top star. So I asked her did you request this show? I was really curious. And she said yes, because in the show the musumeyaku lead is blind, and the musumeyaku lead wears a blindfold over her eyes the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, it takes a specific kind of beauty to be able to show emotions and to be beautiful while you're wearing a scarf over your face, basically. And she said, but when I heard that Kono Mahiro is going to be my partner, I knew it would be perfect. So I requested it. And I thought, oh my God, that's so cool that she requested that when she found out who her Musumeyaku partner would be.
Wow.
So that just got me really excited.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love hearing about those processes.
Yeah, and you're always curious, how much input do they really get in the shows that they play?
Mm-hmm. Because
you do hear sometimes, they requested this type of show or that kind of show. So, yeah. Anyway, it was really cool, and I think Sakiko might be trying to put another one together, so keep your eyes peeled, and maybe you'll see that coming. And I definitely recommend watching it if you can, because it was fun.
How did she do it? Was it on what platform was it? Instagram or?
It was Instagram, which I had deleted my Instagram account when I deleted my Facebook account. So I was like, I guess for this I'll sign up for Instagram again.
I'll reinstall the app on my phone.
Yeah, but Sakiko is cute. She did it in English and in Japanese, and there were people. There were over 100 people watching, and they asked what countries is everybody in, and people were from almost every continent. It was really cool. So,
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
So I won't keep jabbering because I could keep talking about that forever. Heidi, what was your happy thing for this show?
Yeah, my happy thing, I guess, it's kind of small, but I think it's kind of fun and interesting. So, Takarazuka has put up on their YouTube channel, their official YouTube channel, Ouchi de Takarazuka, which is Takarazuka at home. And so they've basically just put up several clips from shows in the last couple of years. It seems to be mostly one or two songs from the shows. So for example, they have the opening song for All for One from Tsukigumi from a couple years ago. They have Sunrise as part of Citrus Breeze Sunrise from Sorogumi a couple years ago, and so that's the song kind of towards the end of the review where they have the song Sunrise, and then it goes into the pair dance and the Shiroenbi and whatnot, and then several others. I think they've got a couple of Daimon ones up there. But it seems it seems a little bit different depending on what it is. So All for One wasn't just straight the opening song. They kind of clipped in different parts of clips of the show, and while it kind of switching back and forth between the actual opening song and then sort of overlaying different parts of the show while it was still playing. So you can kind of get a little bit of a sample of different shows from the past few years, more so than say the first day videos or the promo videos that they usually have up there. So I thought that was really cute. They're kind of trying to give a little extra to people stuck at home. Also though, in that same vein, I think it was just yesterday or today or at some point they uploaded, I saw this on their Facebook page, they have created backgrounds, Zoom backgrounds.
Oh really?
And you're teleconferencing, televideo.
Video backgrounds.
Yeah. It's one is out front of the Grand Theater, one is in front of the stairs, the red stairs in the Grand Theater, and I can't remember what the other one is. But
oh, that's really funny.
I just thought that was really funny. If you have to do your video conferencing calls, you can use this as your background. So
I feel Ouchi de Takarazuka, I feel that tag has been going around on Twitter, all the OGs. I feel they've been recording things or talking about Takarazuka.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's related to the
I don't know.
YouTube clips they've been putting up, or if it's just, of course, it's Takarazuka at home. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Or maybe the company piggybacked off of that.
Oh, could be, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do. So.
I'm kind of bummed that my work is not using Zoom. We're using Google something or other. So I don't know if those backgrounds would work there. Probably not.
Yeah,
that's too bad.
I'm furloughed, so yeah.
Hey,
that's fun. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, they're pretty cute.
All right, Leila, how about you? What's your happy thing?
All right, so my happy thing, it's a while ago now, but it's that at least before all of the madness started with the whole corona thing, Risu Kihokanata, she got to have her last shinko with El Japón, and it was lucky because right after the shinko was over, they started saying that, okay, we're not gonna have iride anymore, like because of the corona risk, and you all have to wear masks now whenever you come, and like, so it was I think maybe the week after the shinko or a couple of days after the shinko that they were like, okay, we're not gonna have iride anymore. So it was very, very lucky that like they got to have it and that we could participate in like the events and stuff, because after that it was kind of mental. So I'm really happy that she got to have her last shinko, and 50 people I think turned up to her demachi afterwards, after the shinko. So that was really nice. Like there was a whole bunch of people. Yeah.
What role did she have again? What role did she have again?
Oh, she was Emma Naoki's role. Don Ferdinando.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. She did such a good job with it too. I was very, very happy with her. But like, I'm sure we're going to have a podcast about El Japón at some time, at some point.
I think we should, because apparently there are differing opinions.
I would love to talk about El Japón, yes. I know we did talk about it.
Not El Japón, El Japón.
Oh, Japón. Okay.
Japón. Yeah, the Sonogumi show.
I keep like the Japanese accent for these two sounds exactly the same. I'm always like
So funny story though is that like I actually, when we went to go see it on like almost opening weekend in Mura, so like months and months and months ago. Before that, I think I'm gonna blame Carly for this because I'm pretty sure she's the one that coined this, but she called it Senior Samurai. I think on like her blog post or something somewhere, and sorry Carly, I'm pretty sure you're the one at fault for this, but it was Senior Samurai, and then it was Aquavite was the review, but we just called it Whiskey Review because it was Whiskey Review. So like it wasn't until I kind of like got to the theater that I remembered that those names weren't the actual names. I was like, oh right, it's not Senior Samurai, obviously. It's El Japón. So I was talking to my partner about it like earlier today, and they were like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Senior Samurai." Oh, never called it El Japón. So
wasn't there like a Yukigumi show that had a title like that about like a samurai in Spain or something?
Well, now we're just getting really confusing.
I feel like there was,
but it was a samurai in Spain. That's why we called it Senior Samurai. That was the plot.
Or was it France?
You're thinking of the same thing.
No, because this was like a while ago. I want to say it was like not Otozuki K. No, it was more recent than that. But it was something like now I'm curious. Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up later.
Oh no.
Oh, Takarazuka.
I mean,
this is where you're like, there's like 5 great ideas in Takarazuka, and they just keep using them.
Using the same ones over and over again.
Nothing wrong with that, but
I mean, I'm sure someone should do an El Japón podcast if and when, well, not if, but whenever Renee Makoto gets to do hers. So
yeah, that's what it was. I was like, I know that it came up again, but they didn't do it yet, did they? No. See, this is what I'm really curious about, because they said they're gonna change the schedule. So I'm like, so are all these shows that got canceled? That'll be great. Like, yeah. But then we might have some Shinko kids.
That won't
I wonder how that would work.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
So strange.
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay. Anyway. Moving on. So our theme for today, I'm not going to be able to say it in German because I took German in college and I got a solid D in that class. It was like the only class except like gym in high school that I ever got a D in. But anyway, it's the Räubers, which would be, how would you say that in German?
Die Räuber.
Is it like
Die Räuber.
Die Räuber.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I would not. Nope. So we're doing the Räubers today. And we're going to start off with a summary. And then we're going to compare it a little bit, the Takarazuka version with the original, because it's actually a pretty famous novel and then a play, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So do a little bit of a comparison. But who would like to start off with our summary? Who feels like they could do it?
I could do that, I think.
All right.
So this play in Japanese, it's called Gunto. And that's the name that they give their group. Well, the main character gets a group of friends when he's at university, and they call themselves Gunto. So really, there are two kind of plot lines going on, and one is to do with the main character Carl and his family, and then the other plot line is to do with what he does at university, and the show is called Gunto, and that is the university part of it. But to me, the part that's actually the most important is the bit with the family, which is kind of in the background. So I'm just like, the first time I watched the show, I was like very confused because I just, what? Okay. I didn't really understand why they spend so much time on his university days. But the university thing is basically he goes off to university, meets a couple of pals, and it becomes kind of like a Robin Hood thing where they want to take from the rich and give to the poor because people don't have money to pay their taxes, and it's a whole thing. And
can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
What is the time period supposed to be for this show? Like what?
It's like 18th century Germany. Or is it 1800s Germany? Hang on, I have the Wikipedia article right in front of me.
I just this is the thing that always throws me off when they're talking about, these shows that are set in Europe, and they're all like at university, and it's always
ambiguously
yeah. I'm like, it's not modern though.
No, so the play itself was published in 1781. So I think it takes place around that same time frame, because it doesn't make sense for this author to have written it in the future, if you know what I mean. So
yes, got it. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Keep going, Layla.
No, so that's basically the university bit, the Gunto bit. The family bit is that Carl, the main character, he is the son of a count, Count von Mohr, I think is how you pronounce it. And the count has a younger brother called Hermann, so that's Carl's uncle. And Hermann has a daughter called Amalia. And they all live together, and Carl also has a mother, but she is sickly, and I think she dies at some point off stage.
She dies early on.
Yeah. And I think Amalia's mother is also non-existent in this show. It's not a fantastic show for Musumi Yakusari. So Hermann is jealous of his older brother, the Count, because he has always had everything. And Hermann is, he's got a bad leg, and so he's disabled, and he has always been jealous of his brother and everything that he's got, and he wants to get all of that, basically. Turns out that the Count has another son that was born out of wedlock, and his name is Franz, and his mother dies, of course, and
there's a lot of fridging going on here at this point.
Yeah.
So basically Franz goes to live with Carl's family, right? And Hermann is the one who picks him up, goes to get him, and he starts getting his claws into Franz too, from the very start, and gets him jealous of Carl and stuff. So Carl is trying to be nice to Franz, and Franz isn't really into that, so they never get along they just fight. And well, what happens when Carl goes off to university? Because he goes off to university to experience life. He wants to see what the world is like. He wants to experience like the good things and the bad things. He just wants to be free and live. And then what happens when he is away is that Franz and Hermann together are plotting to, take over the land that they are in charge of. Yeah. And then eventually Carl comes back with his Guntor pals, but they're actually fugitives at that time. And because he's heard that his father is dead, and then he comes back home and terrible things happen, and then everybody dies.
Yeah. Everybody dies.
Nice. Yes. So it's one of those happy ending shows.
Great happy ending, yeah.
Wait, so...
Sorry, that was a massive spoiler.
Is Amalia actually a love interest for Carl?
Yes.
Even though they're cousins.
Because it's 18th century Europe, and that's how we do things.
Of course, in
that time period, in the nobility.
That is how you do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sounds tragic and dark and ominous. So how is that different from the original?
So when I watched it, and I kind of on Wikipedia, there's a very kind of like brief scene by scene breakdown of the play, the original play. I didn't look too closely into the book itself because I kind of forgot to do that this afternoon. But so mostly the biggest departure that I noticed is that the Takarazuka version spends a good portion of the Takarazuka first act kind of establishing the rivalry between the two brothers, starting from when they're young, and then kind of like Carl going off to university and kind of establishing that rivalry, plus the sort of like love interest with Amalia, and some of the family dynamics that is, from what I can tell, not present in the original play because it just starts with Carl in university. And so Carl essentially goes off to university and he amasses a lot of debt because he's there to, have fun and spend, like he spends a lot of money, like as you do as a young aristocrat. So he accrues a lot of debts. And so he's like basically worried that he's having a falling out with his father in the sense that like oops, sorry, Dad, I spent all this money while I was at university or whatever, and obviously Dad's not too happy about that. And so as a result, like the uncle and Franz are kind of like trying to further fracture the relationship between Carl and his father so that he will be disinherited. And essentially they succeed. But the main play kind of focuses more on going back and forth between like Carl and Franz and their kind of different schemes and going ons. So after a certain point, it's more or less the same with a few kind of major changes. There's a part where so after like Carl gets disinherited, he's super bummed, and so his like university buddies are all like, well, let's just form this band of robbers and we'll go and like rob people and like promote equality and be like, try to protect the weak and good stuff, Robin Hoodie type things. So their first heist in the Takarazuka version involves slowing someone down. They steal from some aristocrat by putting like giant kegs of like beer in the middle of the road and then hijacking, like ambushing them, which is hilarious. But there comes a point, kind of like one of the big plot points is there is a scene where they go in and they're trying to rob like some big important person, and they eventually get caught. And long story short, for some reason, there's a kid along with them. From the original play, I don't think it's supposed to be a child, but the Wikipedia doesn't say. But in Takarazuka version, they like have this like kid for whatever reason is like, I want to come too. And so they're like, okay, you can come and like do whatever. And he ends up, long story short, getting caught and then trying to like help them escape, and he gets killed. And so that kind of like jumpstarts like this tension of like, oh, okay, well, now they get caught again, and then it's like, well, if Carl comes along with us, then everybody else can go free. And so he's like, no, you can't do that. You must escape. Either freedom or die. You know, blah blah blah. So that's kind of a big plot in the Takarazuka version. In the play, they are trying to help him escape from being hanged. Decide to burn the village down, and like 83 people die.
Oh,
so understandably, people are kind of mad about that. So I feel like in the original play, like some of the themes are a degree of higher darkness.
Gotcha. So they almost sanitized it a little bit to make them more heroic. Yeah.
But at the end, where they in Takarazuka, where they have like this big kind of scene where literally, you know, everybody dies because different people are killing each other. So like dad dies, dad's actually alive, but he dies, and then uncle ends up killing Franz, who gets in the way, and then Carl then knifes uncle in front of Amalia. So like all these people are already dead. And
it's very very Shakespeare.
Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous. I think in the original it's mostly, as far as I could tell from the summary on Wikipedia, just the dad dies, and then Carl is like, well, I can't go back because I've made this promise to my band of robbers. Like, I can't go back to my other life. I am like your leader, and I promised. And they're all like, you have to stay with us. And so he's like, okay. And Amalia's like, but I can't live without you. If I can't live without you, then just kill me. And so he does.
Of course.
And you're like, so wait. This is my big question for the author here is like, why can't she just go with him?
No.
Why does is it like, no, you have to be in Noble with me, otherwise if you can't come be in Noble, I want to die. So kill me, because, you know, I'm just like, just go with him. You don't want to live that life with them? I don't know. You do you, I guess.
Well, it wouldn't be right for a woman to do something like that, right?
I guess.
Suddenly she would be of questionable virtue if she ran off with some robbers. I mean, it's okay if the men do it.
I suppose. But she'd rather die, I guess, so it's how so it's a whole thing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I think the Takarazuka version, like, it does a good job of, like, the plot makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand why they wanted to have that kind of build up, that establishing of that relationship, you know, through with those earlier scenes that, from what I can tell, weren't in the play. I don't know if they're in the original book. Maybe there's a nuance to why she couldn't stay with him that I missed, but I don't know. But that's basically like the tension between like, this is the free life that I want versus this is all the nonsense that my family is doing and all the backstabbing and double crossing, and then now everybody's dead, and well, that sucks.
I'm actually really surprised they would take something like that out of it, because I feel like that's a very like Takarazuka tragedy kind of thing, that like, I don't want to say Asian sensibility because that sounds weird, but you know, they love in the Nihon Mono, the woman will like kill herself for some reason or other, like the hero.
No, it's the same. It's the same. Yeah. So like it's weird. I think I don't know. Yeah. That's just my question. Why did you just go with him? That's the original plot, and they kept it. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
it's not dramatic, I guess.
It's like her reasoning in the Takarazuka version is like, well, everything is terrible now, and like in death we will all be together, and social standing doesn't matter, so we will all be, you know, happy and on an equal level, because like the problem was that like, because both of these pairs of brothers, like two generations of brothers, are having problems because one person is the heir and the other one isn't, and they are fighting over the power, and in heaven that won't exist, and therefore they will all live happily together. And she was like,
but
I
Carl's
want to
still
live
alive.
with anyone, right? But he's going
Carl's still alive.
But he's going to be executed. That's the thing.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. So after...
So that's what I missed.
So, right. So she's like, yeah, you have to kill me first, kind of thing. Like, and if you don't do it, then I'm going to do it myself, kind of thing. And then he's like, well, you're my girlfriend. He does say koibito, right? Like, well, you're my girlfriend, so, you know, it's my duty to murder you, I guess. And so he stabs her, and she dies. And then I think he gives himself up to protect his friends, and so he gets executed.
I see. Because I guess that makes sense. That makes more sense now. I guess I can rescind my, but why? Because I was like, I must be missing something here. This doesn't make any sense to me. So
I feel like that kind of romance is so, like, for a certain time period, like, it seems like a lot of, like, the Shakespeare romantic tragedies, like, even, like, Romeo and Juliet is kind of like death is more important than life in some situations, and death proves a love more than living would, and, like, it's very interesting because you don't see that as much in, like, the romances of today.
Yeah, it's the reverse, right? So, but so I guess, like, yeah, the summary of the play itself, maybe it's just the way that it's written, but it's like, so she, like, asks to be killed, and then because ostensibly he's got this promise to the Räubers to, like, be their leader, so he can't, like, stay with her. This is how it's presented, like, at the very end. And so she's like, well, I can't be with you, so kill me. And it's after that he decides to turn himself in, and so that, like, to a farmer who was starving, so that they could collect the reward and everything else. So I guess it kind of seemed to me that, like, his decision to do that was coming afterwards, as opposed to, like, you're definitely going to be executed, you're definitely caught, you know. So
right.
Yeah. But anyway.
So I don't want to ask too much about this because I know we're going to talk about the individual characters and their acting later, but overall, like, for this particular show, how was the acting? Because sometimes these, like, overly dark tragedies can be kind of hammy. Was it a really good performance overall? Just in general.
So when they announced the show and I read the synopsis, I thought it was going to be a lot grittier than it ended up being. Okay. And we can talk about this in a little bit too, but, like, I think a lot of that also has to do with the stylistic choice of the music and just the way that certain scenes are done are definitely, like, the overall tone isn't entirely, not till the very end is it especially, like, dire with a couple of, like, scenes mixed in the middle. Like, you're not like super heavy throughout the entire thing. And it's not campy. Like, there are moments that are silly, and there are moments that are happy, but it's not as
as dark as you've been making it seem.
no, it's definitely not as, like, serious as I necessarily expected. And there are points where, like, I thought the band of Räubers, like, I wrote in my notes, I was like, they are very what was the word I used? They're kind of, like, over the top in a way. In the way that they're kind of, like, presented to each other, and that's part of just the way that Takarazuka is often stylistically. But I felt like they're kind of, like, excessively, like, we're these band of brothers gung-ho, now we're gonna go, like, do all these things, you know. It was just very, like, they're all kind of punched up a lot, I felt, I guess.
Gotcha.
Overall, I really liked the cast.
That's actually a good segue, because I know you guys both wanted to talk about the music. Layla, did you want to take a first shot about it? Tell us about the music for this show.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll down to my notes about the music. Okay, so we've got... Right, well, actually, should I start off by saying that this is a genuine conversation that I had with a Japanese fan after I watched the show.
Yeah.
So we came out of there, I was chatting to this lady, and I just go, like, you know, the music was all over the place, and she was like, wait, what? No, that was so cohesive. And I'm just like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, it was all German. Like, we understood that it was set in Germany from the music, like the choices. And I'm like, wait, no. So that was like, so I was just like very, very confused. So to someone who was born and raised in Europe, this is just like, yes, I mean, I understand like it's Beethoven and stuff, like, because we've got the Moonlight Sonata. Wait, is the Moonlight Sonata Beethoven? No, wait, who's
Brahms.
Brahms. Okay, right.
Brahms, Beethoven, and Bach.
There we go. Okay, right. So we had the Moonlight Sonata. We have Ode to Joy, which is Beethoven, right?
Yes.
And then we have Ave Maria. Then we've got like some original songs as well, like a Furusato song, like that's about the hometown and how lovely it is, and that's quite slow and wonderful and just lovely to listen to. Then you've got like happy modern rock when Carl is heading off to university.
It's like anime theme song almost.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then like there's a version of Ode to Joy that feels like it's kind of like a jig.
Yeah, it's kind of like it starts out really cool. It starts out with this great like kind of violin like fugue feeling, and then it just all of a sudden it's Ode to Joy, and you're like, wait, what?
And there's like, so the little kid that dies, Grimm, who's Liebe's brother. We haven't mentioned Liebe either. Anyway, there's like, the kid dies, and then a second later, there's like this upbeat electric guitar solo, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like
it's the end of Act 1.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and then the theme song starts up, and it's like, okay, I know that you needed to have the theme song here, but could you have done it in a different way?
It was such a mood whiplash.
I mean, it's kind of funny.
Mood whiplash is like the two words that I describe the way that this play was designed musically.
And then the best like moment in this musical for me is the opening to the second act, because it starts off just being these like, I don't even know what you would call it, but they're like kind of like techno beats, and it's just like a metallic beat, dum, 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 and it's like they're doing a cool dance with it, and then it's like you have like an organ music starting in the background, and you're like, what is going on? And then it turns into Ode to Joy.
Ode to Joy in minor.
Yeah.
Minor key Ode to Joy.
And it's like,
but yeah, it's like first we're at a rave, now we're at minor key Ode to Joy.
Yeah. And it's like, if you're only going to watch like a couple of minutes of this show, watch those minutes, because
it comes with the summary of the first act and everything.
Yeah. It's just it's really cool, and I really like the dance and everything. Mm-hmm. And Kiki does this like sweeping motion where she like bends down yoga pose to like, touch the floor, like just sweep her hand along the floor. And I think it's just to show off how flexible she is, but whatever. It's like, it's just, wow. See,
I feel like a lot of these smaller theater shows, they're such a mishmash of like the musical genres, but also like sometimes you get whiplash going from like a comedy moment to like more of a dramatic or a tragedy moment. And part of it I feel like is they're trying to give the younger actors and actresses like that whole like range of experiences in one show. And part of it I feel like they do more musical arrangements than they do original compositions, so they have to like borrow all over. And I was always wondering, well, maybe it's because a lot of those shows, they don't have to worry about the copyrights so much because they don't release them. But, I mean, Kiki was a Nibante, right? This one got released on Blu-ray. Yep. So, that just seems to have been the tradition, like, at least in the last, like, 30 years or so. All these, like, Baho and Drama City shows are just, like, they do give you whiplash, of, like, like techno with like classical music thrown together, and then maybe like a Pokemon theme song or something.
Well, I mean, like, we could even still compare that with My Hero from a couple of years ago, which was her last, her only other Nibante lead with Hanagumi, which was done by the same composer. And that is, except for one song, but makes sense in the context of the show, that's very cohesive. Like, that makes sense thematically. There wasn't any of this weird, like, that is all complete and coherent composition overall. Yeah, this one was just like, I think it is because these songs, I guess, I don't know how recognizable they are to like a Japanese audience versus like a Western audience, because like, yeah, like I'm classically trained, so I recognize all these songs, but they also like don't necessarily make sense even in the context of the show, because you don't necessarily want to dig too much into like, well, that's not realistic because like it's a play, it's fiction. But Ode to Joy was written like 20 to 50 years after this play was written. So like the time period even is like slightly off. But it just it doesn't, and the way that it's utilized like is, for me it doesn't make sense as like this kind of like marching theme, when sometimes I think they do it in like with the guitar and it's just like very modern sounding, which is fine by itself, but this is a play in the 1700s. I don't know, like it just you know, you've got, if you're going for like the more classical music, that's fine, but then you've got again kind of like the more like upbeat like anime rock theme song that is very, sounds similar to what you heard in My Hero, for example, which is set in modern day. So it's just kind of this like weird, it's not balanced, I don't think.
I feel like they do love to do that like electric guitar kind of sounding music in a period piece.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's sometimes it's very, very successful, and sometimes it's not so successful.
Yeah. It was kind of like, for example, if you think about, I don't think we've ever talked about King Arthur, the Tsukigumi show from 2016. Like that's kind of similar, where like that you've got the more like modern music in a, you know, but that's also still very kind of like fantasy-esque, so I feel like you could kind of get away with that.
But also that is very cohesive.
Yeah.
Like,
right, yeah, it all makes sense together. Like the music itself stylistically is cohesive, which I don't feel this is.
No.
So.
And I hate to be too negative, because I think it's so cool that like the director and the author of this musical is a woman. Like the composer is a woman, and almost it looks like all the choreographers except for one of them were women, which is kind of unusual for a Takarazuka show.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, all, like, as I wrote down in my notes, like, none of these elements by themselves are necessarily bad. They're just not that great together, in my opinion. Like,
see, I really enjoy it though. Like, I enjoy that I'm staring at this thing, going like, what's going on? I really like that.
I mean, I guess I'm like coming off as like I don't like it, which is completely untrue. Like I enjoy watching this show. It's entertaining, but part of it for me, I'm definitely going like, why? But why? This just doesn't make sense. Why? It's like it's fine, but why?
They've definitely tried to like make the songs like fit a theme. So they use Moonlight Sonata for I said that like it was a Japanese word. Sonata. Well, anyway, so they use Moonlight Sonata for when it's kind of dark and moody and broody and stuff. Then they use Ave Maria for the kids when it's supposed to be like nice and young and innocent. And then they have the Ode to Joy for like bigger numbers. I really like how they've used it. And also, like, Beethoven Symphony No. 9 is really popular in Japan. I think the, there's a, what is it called? Like, there's an orchestra, like the biggest orchestra in Japan is here in Tokyo, and
they're like Philharmonic or something.
Yeah, something like that, and they do Beethoven's Ninth like every single year because it's so popular. And so like this would be very, very recognizable to a Japanese audience, like all of these songs. So and they would think, okay, this is German, right? And not really know that they're from different time periods and like that the story was written before or anything like that. It's just that this is German, and so we understand that it's set in Germany, and so like, you know, boom, there we go, kind of thing.
Yeah. Which I think is just as true for a European audience. Sometimes, you know, you hear something that's more of a Japanese style, classical Japanese music, you'd be like, oh, it's Japanese, even though we wouldn't know like what decade or what century it's from.
Yeah,
so. That's fair.
So
I guess I personally just find Ode to Joy jarring, and most of the time I use it. It's just because all I hear is Ode to Joy. I just hear joyful, you know, like I don't hear the words that they're singing, which is not that. Like all I can comprehend is it feels very invasive to me most of the time.
And it's funny because like growing up with Saturday morning cartoons, if you grew up with like, you know, like you're used to classical music being used in weird ways, but maybe it brings the wrong kind of connotations to your head. So
that's a good point, actually. Yeah, because like it doesn't. Yeah, the connotations that are in my head are very different than I think what they're trying to go for here. So even though they're using it, like I don't think Germany. I think something is it just is strange. I guess.
Strange but fun. So I know you mentioned that you also wanted to talk about the lighting and the setting of the show, and like how does it help to bring it all together? What were you thinking, Layla, when you mentioned wanting to talk about those things?
So the thing about it is that basically they've got two staircases, one on either side of the stage, and then there's like a bridge that they can walk across, and there's a sliding door at the back of the stage that they use, and then that's what the stage looks like for the entirety of the show. They bring out some smaller pieces and stuff, like little beer kegs and tables and stuff, but that's essentially it. And they change the space that they are in with lighting and spotlights and stuff. And I just really like how they utilize lighting in this show to change the space that the characters are in. I think it's really cool that they were able to do that. Because you have like a dungeon setting, and you have you know, a street setting, and you have a bar setting, and it's all done with light. So I just think that's really cool.
Now, did you both see it live?
Yes.
No.
Or just recording?
Just Lella saw it live.
Did you see it in Nippon Seinenkan, or did you see it in Drama City, Layla?
I just saw it in Tokyo. Yes. So
so
just Seinenkan.
Yeah, which is a great space. Was this after they reopened it?
I think I haven't been there at all before they reopened it. Yeah.
Okay, because I was kind of curious when they said they were closing it down for a couple of years to like renovate. I was like, oh, interesting. So, but I can't remember. My years are all bleeding together, and I can't remember when that was. I was like, was that last year? Was that 10 years ago? I don't even remember anymore. Because I used to go there a lot when I lived near Tokyo, but it's kind of, I'm just thinking because like Drama City is a bigger space, so they probably filmed it in Drama City. So I'm just kind of curious if the staging would have been different in the two different venues.
I don't know about that, unfortunately.
I think, I think it's, I don't know. It looks the same.
Yeah.
I would assume so. Because if you mentioned the way that they just used it in Tokyo, and now thinking back on when I just watched it this afternoon, like, it didn't really change the set itself, so. Which I didn't notice, and that's actually a good point. I just, like, didn't really, absorb that. I guess it probably would be more noticeable if I was watching it live. So.
See, I do love those like minimalist sets and what they can do with the lighting and the tricks with like just a few small props, and it's so cool. I love theater.
No, yeah, they definitely pull that off really well because you can definitely get the different moods for the different locations and atmospheres that you're going for. Absolutely, yeah.
Very cool. All right, well, I want to make sure we keep moving along.
Hey.
But I think it would be fun to like talk about roles and actresses, and that'll kind of bring us back to what you've been talking about already. I think you can kind of pull it all together that way. But Serika Toa, Kiki had the lead. How long had she been Nibante at this point? Had she been Nibante for a while?
She's been Nibante since 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was last year, so...
But she was quite new to Soragumi still at this point.
Yes.
When she had this role.
Well, no... she's been there for just over a year by the time... Because this was last spring, right? So it would have been just over a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's still technically new, but like has done several shows with them by this point.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about her, Carl.
So kind of harkening back to what I said earlier, where it wasn't quite as serious as I was expecting it to be. When I saw like the photos coming out for this show, I noticed that she was smiling a lot in them. And I was like, I'm not going to say no to that, but it's not what I was expecting. So I was like, okay, I guess this is a little more like upbeat, like in the sense that it's not like as we said earlier, like as serious and kind of a heavy show as much as I was expecting. What I like is that she's been very good about it gives her a good chance to kind of show a wide range of emotions, because you're going through like kind of the carefree, like, oh, I'm going off to school, and then there's this cute little moment where like Carl gets to university and they're kind of like introducing they introduce like the different characters that become kind of like the band or whatever, and there's this whole like they're doing this like marching-ish routine, and like she's kind of like pretending to like try to warn it, and it's just this really cute moment where she's like kind of being a little goofy, and that was really, really cute. I always love her little like silly antics like that. And then you've got the kind of like the, oh no, what if dad is gonna disinherit me, and then like kind of the angst, like, oh man, what am I gonna do, and then the whole like crushing like realization of like everybody's dead, you have to kill the person you love. Like she gets to really dig into that, which is always fantastic and terrible and wonderful to watch. So
yeah, I mean, there's also the aspect of like having to kill your family members kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
because he has a good relationship with his uncle Herman, or Carl thinks that he has a good relationship with his uncle Herman, and so here is this person that has been very supportive of him and like the choices that he wants to make, because like the count, his father, doesn't want him to go off to university, because he's like, no, you need to be serious, like you're going to be the count in the future, you need to learn how to do all of this, like stop messing about, like dress up in the proper clothes and like do the thing. And he's like, no, but I want to have fun and just be a pure being. And Herman's like, yes, you should go and live life and have fun and go to Leipzig and like, yeah. And so like Carl and Herman have like a good relationship on the surface, but Herman is like constantly trying to like undermine him and, you know, get him out of the way kind of thing. So but from Carl's perspective, like here is this person that he's had a really good relationship with and that he loves, a family member, and he has now like stabbed him to death, you know, and then he suddenly is faced with having to, you know, kill his love interest as well, which is just like astounding. Like how can you, like, how do you deal with that as a person, you know? That's a big thing.
So it sounds like this is really an acting heavy show. Was there actually good dancing and singing in it as well for the leads, or?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was really, really, really into the again, the opening number of the second act. It starts off with like names. Gosh, now I've lost it. Okay. Manami Hikaru and Homare Seri. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like Manami Hikaru, she's like one of my favorite dancers in Soragumi, actually. And the two of them start off with like a spotlight on each of them, and they start doing like this dance with the techno, and then it becomes like a group number with the rest of the Gunto members coming in, and Kiki doing her dance thing on the bridge-ish thing, and then it's like a big dance number. So like that's a really good dance number. And Kiki and what's her name? Mineri. Yes. So Kiki and Mineri, they have their duet dance when they're wearing the red. That's really great. But they also have this dance when they reunite. Carl comes back home, and as a disguise, he wears a hat. And she doesn't recognize him until she sees the ring that she gave him, and she's like, "It's Carl!" So I guess the hat worked. But
well, it's pulled very low over his face, right?
Yeah.
So
like a hat and a bit of shade. There we go. But
yeah.
But like when like she realizes that it is Carl, and then they like talk a little bit, and then there's like this piano solo that's really great, and they dance to it, and it's like, just full of all of these, emotions. So
that dance is a little ridiculous in a very good way. It's like, I was like, because like Kiki especially is just like kicks kind of like the sensuality up like 1,000 points. Like just like she just flips the switch, and you're just like, whoa, all right.
Yeah.
I'm like, we always talk about how the like Musumeyaku are so strong for like being able to kind of like stand up against all of like the Otokuyaku kind of like antics or whatever. And it's in that moment I'm like, she's a very strong woman right now. So it's a really good dance, like within a show. It's really nice. It conveys a lot of emotion. It's really great. So.
No, I think that's cool.
Was this so? Amahiro Mineri played the Musumeyaku lead. This was her first lead, right? Other than a Shinshin Koen,
I think so. Yes.
So it sounds like if they were dancing good together, they had a good chemistry together.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, they sounded very well together as well. Like when they sang together. Mineri is a really good singer. I really liked her singing. I thought she did a really, really good job. And yeah, I think they worked pretty well together. I have to say, like, I noticed most of the like emotion, I guess, was from Kiki, but I'm just used to looking at her, I guess. So I don't know, like I can't, like, I'm not as in tune to Mineri to know, like,
I feel like Kiki has this charm that just works with everyone.
Yeah.
Kiki's just magical. It's a thing, I guess.
She really is, though.
But there's also the aspect of like most of the interaction that happens between Carl and Amalia in the beginning is with like the kid actresses. Okay, sorry. So there's tiny Carl, there's tiny Franz, and there's tiny Amalia, and they have a lot of interaction in the beginning, and then we skip like to when they are teenagers or just before Carl is going off to university, and there's not too much interaction there. and there's like a big scene where Carl is saying, well, I'm off to university, and Amalia's like, I don't want you to go, and then he says, but I want to live and I want to experience things, good and bad, da 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 da, you know, just live life. And Amalia's like, well, take this ring that I was given by my dead mother, or is it his dead mother? Someone's dead mother.
Someone's dead mother.
And you're like, take this ring, and then she's like really upset. She's like, and like, if you run out of money, you can sell it or something. I don't care. I just want you to be happy. And then he's like, okay. So it's kind of got that feeling like she's super into him. He's kind of like just happy-go-lucky going through life, doesn't really, you know, think about it.
Yeah.
And then
it's not a grand romance.
Yeah, and then like when you actually get the idea that they are super into each other is that dance, you know, that we've already talked about. So it's kind of like most of the interaction that Carl has with Musume Yaku as an adult is with Liebe, and he's not interested in her. She's into him, but like he's not really interested in her. It's just like, well, actually Amalia is back home kind of thing. So I don't know, we don't get to see them as much as I would like. Together. And Amalia as well, most of the interaction that she has on stage, you know, as I remember it, is that she has a lot of interaction with Franz. And she is quite feisty, actually, because she's, you know, telling him to back off all the time, and she like even draws a sword on him at one point, and it's like, whoa, girl, you go. So it's like, yeah, no, it's cool.
I wrote in my notes, I was like, girl, just stab him. Just do it.
Hi.
Well, because I think in that scene, like, 'cause they successfully disinherited Carl, essentially. And so now it was like, oh, well, Franz is going to be Count. He's the heir. So your father says that you have to marry me. Because I think she was betrothed to Carl, right? Because he was going to be the heir or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, well, she's like, no, I'm not going to marry you. And Franz's like, well, your dad says you have to. So...
Right. The thing is, okay, this is one of my gripes with this, is that as an adult, Amalia has no interaction at all on stage with Hermann, her father. She has a little bit of interaction with him as a child at the party when Franz is like introduced to the Count and Carl, right? Did I say the names? Yeah. Anyway, so there's a bit of, you can see them chatting to each other like at the side of the stage, and they seem to have like a good relationship going, but there is no interaction at all. There's one scene where Amalia walks off having had like a little spat with Franz, and Hermann comes in going like, well, she sure is my fiery daughter there. But you can marry her, whatever, like kind of thing. And it's like, he treats her like a possession, like she's a person, but she's also something that he can just do whatever he wants with. And I want to know how we go from her being like absolutely not to Franz and then just giving in to her father. Like, what does he have on her? Like, how do they interact in a way that would make her follow whatever he wants her to do? Like, I want to see that bit. I want to know what got her to that point.
I guess I would just assume that that's just because he's her father, and you're like, treats her as a possession, like as they did in 17th century or in 1700s, you know, like women in especially nobility didn't have really much control over their lives and who they married, so that seems pretty thematically appropriate.
Yeah, but she was so feisty though.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Herman, so it was Kiho Kanata who was playing him, right? And she's only like a year ahead of Mineri in terms of Takarazuka classes. So
yes,
how is she at playing the father figure?
Oh my god. Okay, so on Twitter, like when this show was going on, there would be people going like, who's that Senka person? Like, I've never seen that person in Senka before. Like, what? How? But I should know. I know the Senka people. Like, so she like people genuinely thought that this was just a person that they hadn't noticed before in Senka, because she did such a great job. She is really, really amazing. She does this role so well. I'm super happy with it. I'm super happy with her. Every single moment she was on stage, every time I saw this show, I was like clutching my chest going like, oh my God, honey, you are so good. You are so good. She's just like smirking and glaring at people. Like her eyes are doing legwork here. It's just, oh my God, she's so much in this show. It's amazing. And she had to like limp around on stage for the entirety of the show. And like there's a moment when she like angry limps up a staircase. And it's just like so, you know, because there's like that fury, but at the same time you can't really run up the staircase. So like angry limping, it's great. It's so much fun. And then I think she really liked this role, but the thing is, like, there obviously, because her character is disabled, she doesn't get to dance, and so the first time when she gets to dance in this whole show is in the finale, and then she comes out with all of the other otokoyaku, and she just boom, she's here and she's gonna dance, and it's just like that burst of energy that she finally gets to, like, you know, release is just wonderful. So like this is a fantastic show for her. Sorry, that was my Risu.
No, that sounds cool.
I was like, I'm just gonna let Lella answer this one for a little while. No, I agree. She did a really great job. I think the very first time I watched this was in a hotel room in Japan. And I didn't pay super, super close attention. So I really needed to watch it again before we did this podcast. And I remember when she showed up, I was like, oh, okay, Kiho Kanata. And then she really gave me, like, I agree, she did a fantastic job in this role. Like, it's a really, really, really good performance. She really gave me Michan Hokusho Kairi vibes from Napoleon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very similar styling, similar, like, has a cane and everything. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised if she, like, really pulled from that. But she did, like, a super great job, like, kind of embodying a very similar vibe. Which, like, Michan is like an amazing cut above, like, everybody. Almost. Like, she's so incredible. She's such a phenomenal actress. So the fact that, like, I could really see that influence and she did it so successfully, like, I thought was really, really great. So I loved every minute that she was on stage. Absolutely, she did a fantastic job.
Yay!
So I hope she gets a chance to, like, do more stuff like this. Because she's like she can do it. Like, she's got a great range. So,
oh, can I tell you another story? So she doesn't have a beard as a younger man, or Haman doesn't have a beard when he's younger. But then after the time skip between when they're young and when Carl is gonna go off to university, she comes out and she has a beard on, and she said that the first time that she put that beard on, like, everyone else, like, started laughing and said that she looked like an ero osan, like
oh no,
like an erotic old man is like, or a sleazy old man is like, so no, it's like, and then I think it was Rinkira, so Rinjo Kira and Rukatsu Hikaru, they were like, what about that cane? Like, how is it to, walk around with a cane, just limping? So they tried it out, and apparently it was really difficult, so they were, like, super impressed that she was able to just, like, limp around on stage the whole time. So,
I can imagine physically, and she probably had all kinds of muscle knots by the end of the day. Gosh.
Well, and the thing is, like, she even limps in the final sword fight. So, like, there's this moment when, okay, so Herman and Franz, they well, the plan is that the count is supposed to die, but then Franz is like, I don't want to kill my father. I want to have a relationship with my father, right? So instead of actually killing him, he, like, hides him away. And then when Hermann finds out that that his brother isn't dead, well, there's this amazing moment when, with a completely blank face, she just, takes a gun out of her inside pocket, in the inside or inner pocket of her jacket, and she just like pulls out a gun and she's like, well, I guess I gotta do it myself then. And then there's the angry limping, and then we cut to a scene with the Count having gone a bit crazy, I think. And then she comes running in, or Hermann comes running in, and he throws his cane and starts, pulls out a sword and starts fighting his brother. And the way that she is moving through that sword fight is just really awe-inspiring to me, because like how do you do that? Like how do you but she does it, like so she's kind of it's just very impressive.
That's so cool.
I was literally just going to talk about that scene.
Go on.
There was this bit where she throws her cane away and fights with the sword and still limps. So it was really cool.
Because it's like it's you really see a disabled person having this amazing like adrenaline rush, because he's like going in there thinking like, well, my life is over, my whole plan has been exposed, I'm going to die, and I'm gonna take this person with me because they are the bane of my existence. And she does like cry out like, why was I the one who was born second? Why was I the one with a disability? Like, and he's put all of this rage into this one person, even though it's none of their fault, right? So it's kind of like, it's really cool. Yeah. I really like it. She did a fantastic job. And then she dies on stage, which is, like, oh my God, she got to die on stage. And then they don't even include it on the DVD. And it's like,
no.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna tell everyone because exactly how I remember it, because that's all I've got now. But
they show her getting stabbed on stage.
Yeah, she gets stabbed on stage, and then like she falls back, and Amalia comes in and rushes to her father, and that's the only time when they are like interacting on stage, like as an adult, or as two adults, and like they don't speak or anything, and like she's just lying there like staring up at Amalia, and like with like the widest eyes ever, and then she falls down limp to the floor. So it's like, it's just like, well, she's like really like grabbing, her hands are doing a thing, and then her eyes are doing a thing, and then there's nothing, and she just like slumps down. And it's like this weird, you know that someone's great at yoga when they can just like slump down like they are dead in a weird position, because she's got like her leg in an awkward position under her other leg, which is like, it's a fine position for like 2 seconds, but then she's there for like 5 minutes, and you're like, girl must do yoga, huh?
Yeah, there's like 4 people dead on stage for like a solid 5 or more minutes while they wrap the scene.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's talk about another dead person then, because
let's talk about Räuber, maybe.
We should talk about the other dad really quick, right? Because Rinjo Kira played
Rinjo Kira,
Count Von Moore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you said she was going crazy towards the end, so it sounds like she had some acting chops in this one too then.
Yeah. So the Count von Moore, the serious handsome man who wants his son to stop playing around and start taking his future position as Count seriously, that's basically the character. And he loves his son, but he wants things for his son that I guess maybe Carl doesn't really want. And so there's like this problem. They're butting heads, but he's like, he wants Carl to do well, and he wants Carl to come back. And it's like when Carl is away, he's pining for him, and he pines away. And that's the thing, like he goes kind of crazy out of his longing for his son kind of thing. But I don't know if Hermann and and Franz do something else to him, or if he just like, if that happens naturally. But there's like this scene where he is thinking about Amalia and Carl as kids, and like the tiny Amalia and Carl come out on stage and they like do a little dance with the other Maria. And then there's one bit where Rinjokira is like surrounded by a couple of Musume dancers in white outfits, and it's really lovely but also sad, like, because you can see that he's like, you know, maybe he's got like dementia or something, like, but he's definitely going into himself and going into like younger days, and he doesn't really recognize Hermann when he comes bursting into like the dungeon where he's being kept. I think it's a dungeon, but like he doesn't recognize Hermann at first, and then Hermann mentions Carl, and then when he thinks about Carl, that's when he recognizes Hermann, because he's like, oh right, like he comes back to himself, kind of thing. So yeah,
it seems like has Rinjo Kira been playing a lot of like the older roles lately. I'm just kind of looking at her role list of like
probably filling in for some of the other older Otsukoyaku who retired recently.
I just think it's interesting because her last few Shinko years, she played Tybalt and all these Zanbante, Yonbante kind of roles, but it seems like they took her in another direction.
Now she's the handsome uncle, the handsome father.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Well, we lost Riku and Aki last year, so someone's got to fill in.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
all right, let's talk about Rukaze Hikaru. I know you want to. So she played Franz, right?
Yes, she played Franz. I liked her in this show. She sings really well. Like, I feel like she's got a really, really good, solid. I can't even remember what year she is. Is she 97? She's got like a.
She is 1 year
98th.
Close. Well, she's got 1 year on Risa-chan, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's 90th. So, no, I feel like she's kind of like maybe ish. So she's had like 3 battle halls or something like that. But she's so solid. Like, I feel like in a few years, like she's definitely got like kind of these really good foundations to eventually someday in the future be a top star. Like, especially with her singing, I think. And I thought she did a good job with her acting as well. Maybe, yeah. I liked her opposite Kiki. My brain kept like, because her styling is so similar to Ayakaze Sakina Tusaki in that show she did a couple years ago. Fudge, what was it? Anyway, she's blonde. She's like really long hair blonde. And then my brain kept being like Saki, and I had to be like, no, that's Moiko. It's not Saki. That's not what we're doing right now. No, yeah, I thought she did a good job. I really liked her, and she got to lead the Kuro Envy dance in the finale. I thought she did a good job with that. She's got some really nice energy. Mostly, she's just a really great singer. I really, really liked she had this great song that she sang, like a solo, I think, in Act 2, and she had some backup dancers, and it was a good time.
Yeah. So she's got the light goes red, and it's such a good solo, and it's really difficult to sing, but she does it so well, because you have to go really, really high for it, and her voice doesn't break. Like, you can definitely hear that she goes into like a non-otokoyaku range, but at the same time, like, it's so perfectly executed. Like, Stan Moeko, she really deserves it. She's so good.
Yeah, she's really good.
She's got some amazing outfits in this show, and she's got like this real like depth of emotion to her that's like, even though Franz is doing like evil stuff, I feel as though it's because of Hermann and not because of Franz himself. Like, Franz just wants to be loved and to have a place in the world. And the only person who's really paying attention to him and trying to guide him in any way is the villain. And therefore he does evil things, but he's not bad in himself. Like, he protects he protects his father from Haman, so and that's why he dies, because he takes a hit from the sword for the sake of his father. So it's like he is a really good person, but because of like bad advice, he just goes into the direction of doing terrible things. So
yeah, I kind of wish there had been like a little bit more time to explore him, explore Franz a little bit. Like, they give the kind of the build up from their childhood, again with the rivalry and whatnot. But I kind of wish there had been a little bit more room for her to kind of like play with the nuance of her character's motivations. Like, even like she did a good job with the time that she had, but I just kind of like, I was just craving a little bit more. Just to like be able to see it, not necessarily that she did give enough more, just I wanted to see more of it. Yeah, I also want to see her in an Onoyaku role. Like,
yes,
she's cute enough. Yeah.
Oh
yeah, I'd be like, I want you to be an Onoyaku at some point. So maybe that'll be in her future someday.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So that's everybody from the family, right? Did we miss anybody?
No, that's everyone, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So who else should we talk about?
Okay.
What do you think, Layla?
Okay, so like, should we go through the Guntel peeps like quickly? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of stuff to say about them super individually. But yeah,
they kind of blend in together. You know, it's difficult. It's tricky to keep them apart in a way. But okay, Homare Seri Schweitzer is kind of like the Robespierre of the group. He's the one who riles them all up with like this passionate speech about freedom for all humans. Then we've got Manami Hikaru as Razman, who is this happy being full of energy who cheers everyone up. Then we have...
Was she the blonde?
No.
No. Oh, sorry.
She just... she has like a longer hairstyle. I can picture it, but I can't I can't explain what it looks like.
I don't have the program, so like I didn't, and there's no pictures of them, so I wasn't sure who was who, and I missed the names when they went by.
Okay. But anyway, she's the happiest one out of all of them, who's just like, you know, and then she dances fantastically, right? And then we have Natsu Hayato as Rolo, and my first thought when I saw her was, I didn't know Rui Makisa was that tall, but then it kind of clicked that it wasn't Rui Makisa, and it's kind of stupid because they don't look that much alike, but like the hairstyle that she has in this show, along with her cheekbones, which, you know, are very, like they stand out. I think she just looked like Rui Makisa in this show. It is just like...
She retired recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
During the shutdown.
Yep. So... She was... I'm done. I was very sad about it, actually.
Because I felt like when I watched this show, I was like, oh, she's going places kind of thing. And then she
she had a couple of Nibante Shinkos, I think. At least one, anyway.
Yeah, it's a shame. Right. Anyway. But she did a great job in this. Then we have Setsuki Renya as Shuftale. And my only comment is blonde and a bit stabby. So that's the blonde one. Yes. Okay, so those guys are all like the university people, like and then we have Akina Rui as Spiegelberg, and Spiegelberg is like the angriest being you've ever seen. He is miffed with Carl because he becomes the leader of the group, and Spiegelberg kind of wants to be the leader of the group because he's like, well, I'm actually like a poor person, and you know. And then Liebe, he really likes Liebe, and Liebe fancies Carl. And so that's two things that Spiegelberg wants that Carl has. So he's like not super happy with Carl. They have like an antagonistic thing going on there, but they're still, you know, in the group. Then we've got Hanaki Maya as Liebe. And she is the girl that's in the Gunto gang, and she has a bar, I think it is, or a tavern that she
like a tavern yeah.
that she runs, or her family runs. So she's got her mum and her younger brother, right, Grim, played by Koko Sakura, and the tax collector Takato Chiaki, or it just says, like, they say yakunin, which means government official, but I think it's a tax collector. But anyway, adorable tax collector. And she is the narrator because literally everyone else is dead. So there was only the tax collector to tell the story. But anyway, so Takato Chiaki is like this nervous ball of energy whenever he's like part of the story, but then as a narrator it's just like very calm and serious and like getting stuff done. But yeah, so so the tax collector comes to like get the taxes from the tavern, and they don't have any money, so Carl gives them his ring to pay for taxes. So like to show that
after they
Carl is a nice person.
Bully him a lot.
Yeah, but it's kind of more like teasing, right? Because I feel like...
No, it's definitely like threatening. It's definitely threatening. They're like, get out or we're gonna beat you. It's bad.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I get the impression that Carl is like this pure kind of person.
No, well, they're like threatening the text, threatening him before, and then Carl comes in and they kind of back off, right? Like it's definitely the Spiegelberg is like, I'm gonna punch you in the face if you don't leave, and then Carl's like, oh, hey, here's the stuff, bye. So yeah, I loved her. She was so cute. She like makes a really good kind of immediate impression because she kind of is one of the first ones to speak. So I was like, oh wow, you're cute. You're really good job. I like you.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my god. One time when I watched it, like, because she squeaks a bit in a couple of the scenes, and like one time she like the squeak that she did, like the noise was so high pitched that I think it was almost like at the point where only dogs can hear it. You know, it was like, yeah, she's seriously cute. Yeah. So that was really cute. Yeah, she did a great job. I think the character's name is Wahrheit, but and then we have, so that's the Gunto peeps. Grim, Hanaki Maya's younger brother, is the one who dies trying to protect them during one of the heists that goes wrong. And then so the last person actually, so Kazuhiro Hyuga plays Kuzinski, who is this person from Carl's hometown who comes to find Carl to tell him that his father has died, and then causing him to go back home, kind of thing. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of this like almost not quite a Deus Ex Machina moment, but it's just like, here's this convenient person to come in and be like, okay, your father has died. Also, like his like situation like very conveniently mirrors Carl's own, which kind of gives him the impetus to go and like find out for himself what's going on, because he's like, oh yeah, like I came to join you guys, and also like, you know, I too like lost like my beloved whose name was Amalia to account. You know? Like, it's very much like, and Carl's like, oh man, I should probably go home and check on things. So that's like his entire impetus to like go home at that point. Yeah. And go see. He's like, oh wait, I should probably make sure things are okay and I don't lose my Amalia, and things don't turn out so well.
Hey. Okay. And then I just want to mention the names of the tiny people who played the tiny versions of the kids. So Tiny Franz is Mashiro Yuki, who played Ruimaki's role in the El Japón Shinko, by the way. And she did a really great job. I keep mentioning Ruimakise. Sorry. She's not even in this show. What? And then... and when Tiny Franz gives his first polite speech to his father, the Count... while kneeling on the floor in front of him, like during that party, like when he finishes his speech, there's like one person in the back who applauds like really awkwardly and then stops. So I just thought that was like really funny. Carl as a child is played by Aosaki Iori, and Amalia as a child is played by Hiyuki Arisu. And they all did like great jobs. They were just very, very cute. So that's all of the kids.
Mashiro Yuki looks like a tiny Kiki. Like, she looks a lot like Kiki when she was younger. Yeah.
So why did they not have her playing...
I don't know. I think for me it was more recall, like, in her face, but also, like, the blonde. Her hair was blonde for Franz, because Franz is blonde. So, like, I just had a much stronger, like, oh, she looks like Kiki moment when Kiki's blonde. But...
Gotcha.
I guess I personally would have swapped them because, I think she has a little more face like her, but whatever. Right. They all did a good job in their respective roles.
Right. And then I just wanted to say, like, Hanaki Maya, we lost not so long ago, or I guess it's been a while now, but I was surprised and sad by how sudden it was that she just like, boom, there we go. And then, so she's just very good. She
retired at the end of the national tour last year, and she was supposed to retire with El Japón, but changed her plans, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes they retire on smaller theater shows and tours because they don't want all the pomp of a grand theater or a Tokyo theater, you know, having to go down the staircase and all that.
Yeah, I guess I just saw on the TakuWiki article that like she was originally meant to graduate with the Grand Theater show, but then didn't. So I don't. But maybe it was her plan all along, and they just had announced it already. I don't know.
No, her fans were like really surprised when it happened. They were like, "Wait, what? You were here?" And then
I mean, she's really good.
Yeah, I felt like she was going places, but I guess she still is in her life. So yeah, we wish her all of the best. Good luck, Hanaki Maya. We miss you.
I always enjoyed her. So.
Yeah. She had a couple of great roles. She was like young Nakia in
Nakia.
Yes, Red River.
Yeah, you always wonder when people leave so soon. It seems soon, but you never know. Like, maybe she'll go on and become a politician or a doctor or something. You never know. Like, so many of them have second careers when they leave early. So cool.
Yeah. No, she's doki with Risu too. So and they were like really close. So that was like a little bit sad for my girl. So yeah.
All right. Was there anybody else that you wanted to talk about, Heidi, before we?
I don't think so. I almost feel like I didn't give Kiki enough due. Really enough. Like, it's her show. I didn't talk about her a lot. I feel like I need to clarify. I'm like, I don't dislike this show at all.
I know. I feel like we started very negative, but I think we got to the positives pretty quickly.
It's like I said, it's more of a stylistic thing. It's not even like it's not bad stylistically in the sense that like it is like it's enjoyable. It's just weird in certain places, in my opinion. But it is like everybody does a great job and at what they do, and I really like seeing the progression that Kiki is going through and seeing her like comparing it to like My Hero versus like what she's doing now and kind of seeing her growth. And because it's been like, it was 2 years since My Hero before she had another like lead show, and she hasn't done a lot of like lead things as Nibante, which maybe on average is she's probably tracking average. It just seems like she hasn't, but she's been Nibante for so long at this point, so it feels like she should have been able to do more. But it's nice to kind of see like the way that she is synergizing with everybody on stage, and just growing as an actress and as a performer is always just really, really enjoyable to see. So in the finale, they had, when they got to the pair dance, I just thought it was so cute. She just had this like brilliant smile the entire time, and I was like, oh. it's such a great like really sweet smile, and it's just like she's just so happy. And it's just really, really like nice and fun and enjoyable and warm to see, I guess. So yeah, the finale was really cute. I really liked it. But yeah, I really like that, kind of harkening back to what I said before, that she's able to kind of show a really wide range of emotions, especially in this show. I feel like in a lot of the Grand Theater shows recently haven't had quite that same range, for various reasons. So it's nice to like give her something more to work.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Anastasia. I think she's gonna be good in that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, she's another villain. Yeah, she's the villain again. She's got a lot of villain roles since she moved to Sorogumi.
I enjoy that though.
And that's the Nibante role, though, isn't it? Nibante is almost always the villain role.
She had one villain role in Hanagumi. One. It was her last Grand Theater.
Enjoy it while you have them,
really
because once
good.
she becomes top star, you're getting the squeaky clean top star roles
Squeaky
most of the
clean
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Funny.
No, yeah. I'm enjoying it. I'm not like this whole mess of the like everything getting canceled and postponed and everything, like I'm sure is completely throwing major wrenches into everybody's plans. But I'm like kind of okay in the sense that we weren't planning on going this year, and depending on how next year shakes out, like we have a little bit more space where I have to worry about like figuring out for like an Ohirome Koen or whatever. Like that's fine.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I would like to see Yuri go live one more time, like I say. I really like seeing them together. It was really like El Hapon and Akuvite were really fun. It was really fun to see. Because that was my first time seeing her with Sorogumi live.
Okay.
That was exciting. Yeah.
I really enjoyed this show, and like when Kiki came to Sorogumi, I was like, oh my god, Kiki, you have to adopt my girl. So when they had a couple of scenes together, it's not a lot, but like they have like some interaction in this show, and it just like made me really happy that, you know, my girl got killed by Kiki, I guess.
Yeah, that's right, she did. Stabbed her.
It's like, yay! That's what we want. Dying on stage, killed by the main character. And yeah, like I just from a fangirl perspective, like this to me was like an amazing show. I really, really love villain roles, and I love seeing my girl playing villain roles. And I was and I was thinking like, oh my god, she has to add this role to the what is it called? Otome?
Otome, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god,
like to her favorites?
Yeah, I was like, so I was waiting for the Otome to come out, and then like, it came out and it wasn't listed, and I was like, oh, so she didn't like it? And then I think they just like had done the prep for the Otome like way in advance or something, because like I've asked her since then, like, do you like playing villains? And she was like, oh yeah, I love playing villains. So she does like playing villains. So I think she really, really enjoyed this role. It was just like very good. Yeah. So I'm was just really, really happy with this show. And there's so there's like this one moment that you won't see on the DVD, which is like after the parade and everything, and also Risu comes out after the Gunto people, so that means that like technically her role was more important than the Gunto people, right? Because they all come out together, and then she comes out, right? But she doesn't have a character photo, which is like, okay, right? No. She's like Ken too young. But Hanaki-Maya, who is her doki, got a character photo. So I'm like, okay, well, and she's also not listed as a main character. And I'm just like, but clearly Herman is a really important character that like you haven't listed your villain in your main characters list. What's going on here? So I was like a bit surprised by that.
Thanks.
But anyway, so after that, what you don't see on the DVD, sorry, I'm getting back to it, is that after they bow, and like the curtain is going down. No, wait. But anyway, so there's a moment when they're like moving about and stuff. And what Risu does is she goes over to Moeko, who is standing pouting on the other half of the stage, and like puts her arm around her. And it's like done with the kind of sense of, okay, let's get you a nice girl. That's what she said. It was like, that's the whole like intention behind that move is like, it didn't work out with Amalia, let's get you someone else, like let's get you a good one. And like you don't see it happening on the Blu-ray. You see Risu like walking behind Kiki, and then it cuts to like another shot where you can see Moeko standing pouting. But it did happen. It did happen every time. So like, yes, that's a thing that genuinely I just enjoyed that a lot. Yes.
Love it.
Well, I was so glad to hear about this show because I really didn't know anything about it. So I can tell you guys, it's so Takarazuka because we love something at the same time that we're like definitely critical on parts of it. So.
It's very Takarazuka. Like, if you like, I feel like my expectations were off in the sense of like I had an assumption of like that they might make this like heavier and grittier, but I really shouldn't have, because it's if you were going to make an adaptation of the show, this is what it would be, and this is exactly what it is for Takarazuka. Like, it's Takarazuka.
Unless it's one of like Todoroki Yu's one-man shows, it's gonna be more Takarazuka.
And like I said, like it did a good job. So
right.
It was enjoyable. It's enjoyable. I recommend watching it.
Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely.
And
it's on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
It's on Blu-ray.
And if the only thing you watch from the whole show is just the first number in the second act, it's still worth it, guys. It's worth it. Ijo desu.
All right. Well, thank you for coming together and talking about this, and I hope everybody who is listening can share their thoughts too if they've seen the show.
Yay. Or if you have questions. Give us a shout out. How are you doing in lockdown?
Yeah. We want to hear.
Yeah, let us know.
What's up? Yeah.
Watch more Takarazuka. Be happy.
Yeah. Tell us about your cooking or whatever you've been up to.
Yeah. Oh, and tell us what you would like for us to talk about, if there's like a particular show or something that you want to like have a podcast episode about.
Yeah, definitely. We've got there's actually a blog post where we're asking for ideas. So yeah, we'll keep adding to them. So if you keep posting your ideas, we will try and cover them, definitely. All right.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Let's talk Fuji Daisuke reviews.
I would love to do a show on Fuji Daisuke reviews.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay. Next time, maybe.
Coming soon. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Many thanks to Michael B. and the Arcanum String Quartet for their wonderful arrangement
of Sumire no Hana Sakugoro. And thank you, listeners, for enjoying our podcast.